friends, welcome back to Food Prep Guide. Before I started growing from seed, I would buy seedlings at my local store, and I'd always go for the biggest plants and bonus points if it was already producing fruit. But now I know that was the opposite of what I should have been looking for. So today I'm going to show you exactly what to look for when buying seedlings and what to walk away from so you won't waste money on plants that were never going to thrive. And hey, if you're buying plants because starting seeds feels too complicated, stick around for the end of this video and I'll show you how I grow my entire garden from seed without a greenhouse. So red flag number 1 is root bound or stunted plants. So the first thing to do, even before looking at the top of the plant, is to flip it over gently, being sure that you support it, and check the bottom of the pot. If you see a thick tangle of roots circling around the drainage holes, that plant has been sitting in that container for too long and it's root bound. A root-bound plant has been stressed. It's been competing with itself for nutrients and water, and even once you get it in the ground, it can take a long time to recover. And while you're at it, look at the overall size of the plant. A tiny tomato plant that's been in a cell for 10 weeks and is only 3 inches tall with yellow lower leaves is a stressed plant. Healthy seedlings should look proportional. A sturdy stem, good green color, and sized appropriately for their container. Okay, red flag number 2 is leggy stems. So look at the stem of the plant. Is it thick and sturdy, or is it thin and stretched out like the plant's been reaching toward whatever light can be found? Leggy plants were grown in conditions with insufficient light. They're usually packed too tightly in a greenhouse or left under inadequate lighting for too long. The plant spends all of its energy trying to reach the sun or the artificial light instead of building strong roots. So that weak stem means it's going to struggle to support itself once it's in your garden and having to deal with wind and rain. A good seedling has a stem that feels substantial when you gently pinch it, and it shouldn't flop over. It also shouldn't be all stem. That's what a leggy plant looks like. It looks like all stem, with just a few tiny little leaves or offshoots. It should have plenty leaves for a healthy plant. Okay, red flag number 3 is fruit set on young plants. It's not good. And this one surprises a lot of people, and it's one of the biggest traps at the garden center. You see a tomato plant and it already has tiny tomatoes on it, or a pepper start that's loaded down with flowers that are ready to set fruit, and you think, great, I'm ahead of the game. But what's actually happening in many cases, when a plant is severely stressed, whether that be root bound, nutrient depleted, or just near the end of its viable life for one reason or another, it triggers a reproductive response. The plant essentially senses that it's dying and it's throwing everything it has left to making seed before it goes. So that tiny tomato isn't a sign of a productive plant, but a plant in crisis. Now that said, this isn't a universal rule. Occasionally, a healthy, well-grown plant will have early fruit set, but if you see fruit set combined with a root-bound pot, stunted growth, by stunted growth, it means like it's really short and it's already has some fruit on it, or yellowing leaves, that's your sign to put it back and keep looking. So the combination of those things is the red flag. Before I get to the last couple of points, if you're trying to figure out what to even plant this year, we have a free resource called the Staples Garden Plan that will help you figure that out. The idea is to focus on crops that give you the most bang for your buck, the ones that will fill your pantry and feed your family. Our free printable walks you through what to plant for a full year's worth of staple produce, and you just multiply the amounts by how many people are in your household. The link for that is in the description box, or comment Staples Garden, and I'll respond to your comment with the link directly. Okay, red flag number 4 is pest or disease damage. So this one, you want to take a close look at the leaves, both the tops and the undersides, especially the undersides. You want to look for yellowing, spots, curling, or sticky residue. They can all point to signs of pest or disease that you do not want to bring home and introduce into your garden. Aphids, spider mites, and whiteflies in particular like to hide on the undersides of leaves. One infested plant in a tray can spread to your entire garden before you even notice what's happening, so always inspect closely before you buy. The thing about seedlings is you're inheriting whatever stress, neglect, or pest pressure that plant experienced before it got to you. You have no idea how it was grown, whether it was hardened off properly, or how long it's been sitting in that pot that's often too small. When you start from seed, you get to control all of those elements. And the variety selection when you buy seeds is vastly better than what you're going to find at a garden center. So I promised to show you how I grow my entire garden from seed without a greenhouse. The method is called winter sowing, and I've been doing it for about 7 years now. Basically, you start your seeds outside in milk jugs. No grow lights, no heat mats, no dedicated space in your house. Just milk jugs that sit out in your yard and do their thing. Let me pause here and say that it is too late to start seeds this way for most growing zones this year. That is, if you're watching this video at the time that it was posted, which is, May 2026. But it's good to learn about it now so you can take off with it when January rolls around, which is generally the time frame that works good for most gardening zones for this method. So each milk jug becomes its own miniature greenhouse. The condensation builds up inside, runs down the sides, and drops back onto your soil, which helps with watering. I had one season where I only watered my jugs twice the entire winter because rainfall, snow, and condensation handled everything else. It is so low maintenance and fun. I love going out and peeking inside the jugs to check for sprouts. It never gets old. So here's how to prepare the jugs. Drill a few drainage holes in the bottom, cut around the middle of the jug, leaving a little hinge at the handle, and fill it with potting mix or raised bed soil mix. Do not use seed starting mix because your plants are going to live in that jug all the way until it's time to transplant, so they need extra nutrients to sustain life for that long. You want to wet your soil really good and then plant your seeds just barely below the surface. Tape it shut with some duct tape and set it outside in direct sunlight. One thing I do is run a stick through the handles of several jugs in a row. This keeps them from blowing over in the wind or getting knocked around by, curious cats or chickens. Not that I would know anything about that. The other big difference with this method from traditional seed starting is that there's no need to up-pot them. They stay in the jug until they go in the ground, so you have less time messing with them, less fuss, and definitely less mess in your house. I have a full video walking you through this entire process step by step. It'll be linked in the description box. But truly, if you have been scared of starting seeds, this method will cure that. You do not need a greenhouse. You just need some milk jugs and a little bit of patience. Hope that was helpful, and we'll see you next time. Bye.